Niti Krishore Mataji wants to read?
Yes, Mataji, I'll start.
Yes, yes.
Bharata's example of monkey actually describes all conditioned souls. Just as a monkey jumps from tree to tree, the conditioned soul jumps from body to body. As a hunter captures a monkey and places it in captivity, similarly, the living being allured by sex pleasure becomes caged in the family life. Parikshit said, no one has to remain in family life. Why do you compare it to imprisonment? Attraction to momentary sex pleasure is shackle stronger than any lock and chain. It keeps the living entity fettered both in family life and material existence. How does the poor soul end up in such a mess? Shukdeva said. The problem starts when he forgets his relationship with Krishna. The pure soul loves Krishna and strives only for the Lord's pleasure. If he turns from Krishna and tries to enjoy independently, he commits sin and subjects himself to all kinds of misery. When he gets notice of death, he becomes fearful. Bharata compared this to being confronted by an elephant and falling into a mountain cave. Prior to death, the conditioned soul is constantly suffering many miseries arising from natural disasters, his own body and mind, and others' actions. Unable to counteract these difficulties, he becomes depressed. Bharata explained all of this to Rahugana. Sometimes he borrows money from a friend or goes into business with him. Usually this leads to enmity because of one cheating the other for even a small profit. Sometimes he loses all his money and becomes homeless, or if he keeps a roof over his head, he can hardly afford to buy household paraphernalia. People in general and even family members and previous friends then disrespect them. Desperate to change his circumstances by any means, he resorts to thievery. If caught, he is further insulted and punished and become even more unhappy. Even husbands and wives will deceive one another and end up separating. In summary, Bharata's point was that life in the material world is full of miseries. Sometimes the living entity may feel he is succeeding, and at other times it is obvious he is not. Either way, he is always in a precarious situation and things can go drastically wrong without warning. For example, everything seems to go fine in someone's life, and then suddenly his father dies and he is plunged into grief. After a while, he forms new attachment to his spouse or children. But material life is full of unexpected upheavals. Sometimes people are oblivious to this, and at other times they are anxious. Sometimes they weep, and other times they laugh and sing. But they are never truly happy. Caught up in this morass of competing feeling, the living entity forgets that he once enjoyed a loving relationship with Krishna. Those who know the truth take shelter of Krishna in all circumstances and escape from this dangerous material existence. Only by hearing about, glorifying, remembering, and worshipping Krishna is it possible to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Bharata was emphasizing that no one can be happy in material life. The only solution is to take shelter of Krishna. By associating with pure devotees, yes, this is the only way. You pointed out that even when people try to take shelter of devotees, they can be misled by cheaters. How can they find a genuinely saintly person? Real saints are friendly towards every living entity without exception. They are peaceful because they control their senses and minds. By hearing from them, one develops similar qualities and easily traverse the path of liberation. Unfortunately, because of excessive attachment to the meager enjoyment of miserable existence, the conditioned souls never seek the association of such saintly devotees. Parikshit thought again of karma mimamsa philosophers. Would they still harbor misconceptions? He said. Is not Vedic sacrifice helpful for spiritual success? Not necessarily. Throughout the history of the world, there have been many powerful kings learned in scriptures and expert in performing sacrifice. Yet, despite their opulence, learning, and power, they could not attain Krishna's loving service. For that, you must give up the false ego or the notion that you are the material body and that everything associated with the body is yours. Often, the material success resulting from sacrifice makes it hard to relinquish one's false ego. So, anybody else want to read? They can continue.
Okay, I read. Parikshit said, does learning and sacrifice not giving them any spiritual advantage? Sukadev said, regretfully powerful leaders are often not interested in spiritual advancement. Preoccupied with increasing their power and fame, they create enmity with rival kings, fight and die without discharging life's mission. Bharata also made this point to Rahugana. Do you remember? He said, the merchant holds on to cripples. Parikshit nodded. Yes, the cripples represent our past and present karmic activities. That's correct. Vedic sacrifices are meant to secure our elevation to a higher status of life. By performing them, one can arise to the highest material planet where there is no suffering. But this is not permanent liberation. When your pious credit expire, you fall again to the lower plan. If the conditioned soul remain attached to Vedic sacrifices, he continuously goes up and down. This is not an actual solution to suffering. The only way to end the struggle of material existence is to take guidance from Krishna's pure devotees. This is the path Bharata recommended to Rahugana. My dear Parikshit, we should heed Bharata's advice. He is such an exalted person that ancient sages compose a verse comparing him to Garuda, Krishna's personal carrier. It goes like this: just as a fly cannot, even in its imagination, soar up along the path of Garuda, no other king in this world can even mentally follow the path of the royal sage Bharata, the noble son of Rishabha. Parikit said, I am confused that the sages say no other king follow the same path as Bharata. Did many great kings such as Priyavrata renounce everything to retain Krishna? To attain Krishna? The difference between Bharata and other kings like Priyavrata is that Bharata gave up his family and kingdom while he was in the prime of life, whereas Priyavrata and others renounced in old age. Bharata's desire to serve Krishna was so intense that even though he had a devotee wife, children, close friends, and a vast empire, he gave up everything to attain Krishna. This is extremely difficult, but because of his intense devotion to Krishna, he did not unhesitatingly, just as one walk away from stool after evacuating. Without doubt, Bharata's example is extraordinarily wonderful. No one else could emulate him. Not only did he give up his family and kingdom, but he left behind his wealth, which was so immense that even the God is in heaven envied him. He renounced everything for his powerful attraction to Krishna's incomparable beauty and opulence. Indeed, for devotees who attain Bharata's standard of bhakti, even liberation from the birth and death is inconsequential. consequential. Parikit said he took his next birth as a deer. He was that exemplary because even as a deer he did not forget Krishna, replied Sukadeva. This is the proof of his extraordinary devotion. Even as if he was drawing in that body, he composed a prayer glorifying Krishna. He composed a prayer while he was in a deer's body. Parikit looked astonished. Yes, replied Sukadeva. He prayed, I offer respect. I offer respects to the personification of sacrifice who protects religious principle. He personifies the mystic yoga process. He is the source of all knowledge, the controller of the material creation, and the super soul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I offer obeisances to him, hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. My dear Parikit, King Bharata is so exalted that one is blessed just by hearing and talking about him. Indeed, Krishna's devotees regularly do this because they know of its great benefits. Do non-devotee get any benefit from hearing about Bharata? Everyone will attain all his desire by hearing about and glorifying this great monarch. Submissive hearing and chanting about the all auspicious King Bharata increases one's lifespan and material opulence. One can be famous and easily attain promotion to the heavenly planet, or if one prefer, he can merge into the impersonal Brahman. You can attain anything you desire by discussing King Bharata's pastime. By the simple practice, you can fulfill all material and spiritual desire. You do not have to approach anyone else for anything. Hare Krishna, anyone wants to read or wants to share something? Am I audible?
Yes, Ashka. Any comments, any questions so far? Okay, I'll make a comment here. This point about everyone will attain all his desires by hearing about and glorifying this great monarch. Submissive hearing and chanting of about all auspicious King Bharat increases one's lifespan and material opulence. Actually, it's a very scientific principle because we've been discussing just before the call, me and Nitya Kishore were on a call, and we were exactly discussing this point that when we appreciate someone else's success, like let's say somebody has a lot of money, and if we actually say, oh, they really worked hard and they earned a lot of money, very interesting, very nice. And if we have a consciousness and a mindset to kind of appreciate and not feel jealous and not envy, and just to actually have a clean heart, to actually be happy for somebody who is rich, then richness or wealth will be attracted to us because we are appreciating wealth or capacity to actually, yeah, it depends on our level. Sometimes we may just look at the wealth. Sometimes we may look at the way they got the wealth. Wow, this person is so talented, they made that wealth. Sometimes we may appreciate the wealth itself and say, oh, Lakshmi Devi has really blessed them. So nice. So what actually is happening is we are welcoming the energy of wealth, richness, abundance. So it's very powerful concept. So if somebody is a great speaker or something, and instead of like putting them down, saying, I don't know, I don't know, you can criticize them, right? Find flaws in their speaking or something, instead of admitting that no, they are actually good communicators, they're really nice. Then what happens is the Devi or Devata or the energy of good communication you welcomed it. You allowed your consciousness to actually absorb that. How powerful is that? And then if somebody is famous, and instead of just saying, what is all this material fame, and if we criticize fame, then fame will run away from us, go away from us. So it's like that. If I want to attract the energy of good speech, then I better appreciate people who have good speech. If I appreciate money, then I should better appreciate people who work hard to earn money. And if I appreciate fame, if I want to attract fame, better I admit and accept the fact that this person is famous because they're blessed with that opulence of being famous. So yeah, jealousy, envy will only harm our own ability to attract those qualities. This is something we were discussing earlier, and this again is like a philosophical thing, because when we glorify, say, Parikshit, King Bharat Maharaj, then we are opening ourselves to all those things that he had. But if we actually just some people are like that, negative, right? They may just put who is this king anyway? I don't even know if he existed or not, right? Some people say that. I don't know even if he existed, all this mythology, right? Some people call it mythology. They don't even say there's a scripture or Puranas. They say this is mythology. Yeah. It's all about our consciousness. It's all about our opening of our consciousness and our mind, and embracing and being happy for others, blessing others, praying for others. Then we attract that energy. But if we resist and if we have energies of, then we are stuck. They don't, expect drinking poison and expecting other people to die, So one example is, sometime when I wrote a book and I saw my book in one of the shops in ISKCON somewhere, and then I saw other people's books, some other writers, authors. And then I was telling myself, look, you have two options. One is to look and see that, their books, there are many more books of theirs, and there's only only one book of yours, and feel that envy or jealousy about them, or feel happy for them. Feel that, wow, they have so many books, since I wrote that book, I haven't published anything else, but they already published 3 more. So if I develop an appreciation for their work, then I attract that. So that was something personal that happened to me.
If we attract something, we should appreciate, which means nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone wants to read next chapter? Begin 15th chapter started.
Okay, I'll read.
Yes.
15 King Priyavata descendants. It was mid-morning and the sun was high in the sky. Sutta allowed everyone to shift more into the shade of the surrounding trees. When they settled, Shaunaka said, Dear Sutta, your talks are wonderful. We were eager to know how to benefit the poor souls in Kali Yuga who cannot perform heart sacrifice. Surely these narrations are the answer. Just sharing and remembering them saves one from all calamities. Please tell us more about the conversation between Parikshit and Shukadev, so that we may preserve this supreme knowledge for the sake of posterity. So they recite prayers offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord, to his spiritual teacher, and to all the compassionate devotees of the Lord. Then he resumed his narration. A snail carried on the night air. Parikshit glanced towards the dark forest. Night, predator, were on the prowl, killer and the killed, hunter and the hunted. This was the stark reality of the material life Shukadeva had so vividly described. He turned his attention back to the naked sage, who sat undisturbed despite the night chill, and said, Master, Bharata's history and the result of hearing about it are wondrous. Please tell me about the descendants. Were any of them as illustrious as him? Shukadeva said, One of Bharata's sons, Sumati, strictly followed Rishabha's teaching and example. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, unscrupulous people will reject the Vedic teachings and concoct the theory that he is Lord Buddha. Sumati had a son named Devatajit, who had a son named Devadyumna. From him came a son named Paramishti, who had a son named Prathiha. He became a great devotee of Lord Krishna who taught the principle of self-realization. He had three sons named Pratihata, Prastota, and Udgata, who were expert in performing Vedic rituals. Parihata had two sons named Aja and Bhuma. Shukadeva listed the descendant of Bhuma until after one generation the famous King Gaya took birth. He was the best of saintly king, a direct expansion of Lord Vishnu, fixed in pure spiritual consciousness. He appeared in order to protect the universe, fully equipped with transcendental knowledge. He was a Mahapurusha, chief among all living beings. King Gaya protected the citizens, ensuring that grudges would not harm them, that they had sufficient food and were satisfied in every way. He would distribute lavish charity and instruct the people how to perform their duties. He strictly followed the regulations of married life, performed sacrifice, offered respect to Krishna's devotee, and practiced pure bhakti yoga. Without falsehood, he was always jubilant and free of lamentation. Although perfect in every way, he was never proud or ambitious, and showed all respect to saintly person. Learned Puranic scholars glorify Gaya as follows. Who can equal King Gaya in performing great sacrifices? As an empowered expansion of Krishna, he had every opulence and was highly intelligent and expert in Vedic knowledge. He protected religious principle, was a leader among men, and a servant of the devotee. In a grand ceremony, all of Daksha's honest and chaste goddess daughters, headed by Shraddha, Maitri, and Daya, bathed Gaya with sanctified water, being delighted by his exemplary behavior. Because of their infallible blessings and Gaya's excellent virtue, the planet Earth generously provided all the citizens' necessities, just as a cow with full udder yields ample milk. King Gaya had no material desire, and his spiritual desire were all fulfilled because of his performing Vedic sacrifice. Since he only fought based on religious principle, other king happily accepted subordination to him and offered him tribute. He gave such profuse charity to the Brahmin who execute his Vedic sacrifice that in great satisfaction they gave him 1/6 of their pious credit. Indeed, when qualified Brahmin and saintly people are honored, they bestow the benefit of their pious activities on those who worship and serve them. Parikit said, How did King Gaya relate with lesser citizens, such as merchants and laborers? He satisfied the yajna with kind words and affectionate dealings, encouraging them to generate wealth. Gaya's constant sacrifice to Shudras who always enjoyed sometimes food and charity. The monarch pleased not only his people but also the gods. Whenever he performed a sacrifice, he provides vast quantities of celestial beverage. Somarasa, King Indra would drink so much of it at Gaya's rituals that he would become intoxicated. Even Lord Vishnu, pleased by King Gaya's pure and firm devotion to him, would come to each sacrifice and accept his offering. Gratifying Vishnu was the real reason he could satisfy everyone else. When you I just lost. Yeah, when you please the Supreme Lord, automatically all other beings, including Lord Brahma, are pleased and you receive all benediction. Even though the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, he would come to King Gaya's sacrifice and announce that he was pleased. Shukadeva named the descendants of Gaya for 10 generations up to a king named Vraja, who had once 100 sons and one daughter. Of all his sons, Satyajit was prominent. Hear this famous verse which glorified Viraja. Because of his fame and virtue, King Viraja became famous as the jewel of Priyavata's dynasty, just as Lord Vishnu adorned and blessed the gods. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
So much knowledge, so much culture, so much richness in these presentations of personalities and great kings. We are so fortunate to be born in that land where we have had those monarchs who were such pure devotees, and there was a rich culture. No wonder, Bharata Varshata, why Mahaprabhu said, Bharata Bhumite hoile janma sartaka kare pare paropakar. So being born in India is a great fortune because it's a land of culture and religiosity and all these virtues and virtuous qualities. Extraordinary. And then we have all these great saints, right? So many great saints all over India who were born, and all our ancestors would listen to them, and there's such rich culture. And yeah, whenever we read Bhagavatam and we read these monarchs being so exalted, and this is very funny when King Indra would drink so much of it at Gaya's ritual. That was also very interesting how Gaya was always trying to please everybody. Constant constantly pleasing, satisfying even the Shudras. And so that's the thing, right? When we get blessings of great people, we get whatever we desire. That's why we should be careful what we desire.
Yeah. Yesterday, actually, I was discussing the same point. Some devotee was asking me that, because I got pregnant outside India and I came to deliver my child over here. Actually, this is the main point I just remember because I was in my early Krishna consciousness days. So I remember that, that Prabhupada said that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bharat Bhumite. So I was just keen about that, the one word. And it's really important. We're really fortunate.
Yeah. Okay, we can.
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I relish chanting the holy names. What is the importance of this affirmation? We want to always be in consciousness that chanting is so sweet, so precious, and so special that we are unlimitedly grateful to be blessed with the opportunity to chant. Although chanting becomes more relishable at the stage of ruchi, taste, and beyond. We still want to be in the consciousness now that we are extremely fortunate to be chanting. This consciousness allows us to better appreciate the opportunity we have to chant the holy names daily, and as a consequence, gain greater taste for chanting. You might ask whether we can relish chanting just by focusing on how much we appreciate the only name or simply by stating that we relish chanting our rounds. Of course, I can't guarantee that's always going to happen, but reminding ourselves that chanting is a special gift definitely helps create a more positive attitude towards japa. In the higher stages of bhakti, we will always relish chanting the holy names. This affirmation is meant to remind us that we, the soul, certainly relish chanting. This is especially helpful to remember when we are not experiencing much of a taste during japa. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Harinam
Thank you
Sankirtan
so much,
ki.
God.
Yay.
Mm.